Alrighty. Here on the bench, replenish my water. Everything's kind of falling down there. So, I don't know if you can see, but I keep a rag, which has disappeared right there, continually dry my hands so you don't, blotch it up. So we got her all ready to go. And we will wet her up. A couple of the reasons for it, predominantly, it's just the fact that it's gonna bevel better, but I'm gonna do a little hand sanding on it too. See, a while ago we did this, beveled this area and burnished it, and it yoked up right there to where the two pieces of leather bound together. And I did the same thing this way, from the stitch line to the place where the leather would contact. Hope I'm making sense. And that way that's beveled and that's flat, so the pieces can join together better. So, probably blocking the camera, but hey, it's my show, I'll do what I want. And I gave a little burnish to my, not burnish, good grief. Polished my edge on this to cut better. Okay, so that's got that. That's got that edge coming a little better. It's already wet, but I'm gonna give her a little more. And then I'll be able to give her a quick burnish. If I can do that where you can see it or not. I'll dye it afterwards. Here's hoping that's in the camera lens. But I've got to see it too. Shish. Yeah, that ain't good enough. Usually I'd be done right now. Put a little more moisture on there. If you keep applying the heat without the moisture, it'll burn. Haven't had that happen in a while. It would be the first time I do a video. You're saying sure. There we go. All right. Now we're getting there. I'll wind up going over it at least one more time. See if you can even see that. No idea. There you go. Kind of pour light in to see that. Burnished edge. Anyways. Now, since I'm working on this one, I'm gonna see here in a minute. I'm gonna fold this over and glue that, but that has that double ply right there. Can be a little rigid to bend. So before I even cement it, I put a little water there. You don't put too much; it'll bleed through, and then your colors will be off. But that right there will let me bend it here in a second or two. Oh, moved my contact cement a while ago. I'll do the practice bend. And there's a knack to doing this. What happens is this is all folding differently because of the two plies. And when I put it together, if you'll watch this hand, it kind of lets me walk the edge. But really what I'm doing right now is making sure the bend's going to be right. So to make that, when I set it up together, it'll be come out better. Not too much glue on there. I just filled this thing up to do a belt a minute ago. Okay. Now we're doing her. A little more. If you can't see, there was a little glue coming across there. Fred's kind of quiet, makes me worry. He's not a real disciplined dog. I hear him chewing on something, and I can tell by the sound if it's something that's going to get him in trouble or not. He's got his bone. I can't see him. He chews on so many different things. I can tell by sound if it's a piece of leather, if it's his bone, or something he's dug out of the trash that he's not really supposed to do. But hey, etiquette's not real. He's not real concerned with it. Well, this is just what I do. I got to let that cement set up. So I'm going to. Yeah, it may sit here for 20 minutes. It may be an hour before I get back over to it. Or it might be this afternoon. Well, I won't wait that long. But I'm just working that bend over. And I'll let it sit for, if I had to guess, I'd say 20 minutes. I don't know. Other things I'm working on, I'll come back to it. You won't, for you, it will seem instantaneous, kind of like one of them mind-bending time travel thingies that will dry instantaneously. The next time I push this button, it will be dry. Well, we're gonna have to do a short little bit here. Show you what I do when I get called away to do something else. Because I've got things set up with cement. So I've got a belt that I have. Anyways, it's setting up with cement. And this one, I ain't got time to sew right now, but I don't want to let it really set without being the cement put together. And I hope you can see that. Make sure I got the, oh, nearly knocked the whole thing over. Anyways, I walk that edge around, and it always looks like it's going to come up short. But it has to do with the way the leather has been twerked. It has been Miley Cyrus, I guess that's a bad joke. But kind of fold it around. Next thing you know, you got an edge that we can work with. But all I got to do is sew it. But I just ain't got time. And I've got this little gizmo contraption that I use. And I work it down until I've got everything pressed together. And then usually I'd take it right over and sew it. But I'm just not gonna be able to do that right now. You say, what's the pressing urgency? Lunch. But I'm just not sure how quickly I'll be able to get back out here. So, we've got her set up in there. And that'll make it to where I can come out here in a little bit, sew that thing right up, and get to work on her. Well, get you a little close-up on the sewing. Lunch was sure good. There we go. Tink. And just re-threaded everything, so give her a double check. And we're off to the races. Easy does it. There you go. That ain't the best, but no big deal. Not sure how well it turned up on camera. Wound up with a short stitch, which is, it's nothing. And I forgot I had that camera just like that. Take care of the old edges. Edges, threads. Thinking about 2-minute things. And got a belt to sew, but I'll do that here in a little bit. So she's all stitched up. Here's hoping. Yep, looks pretty good. Sand it and work the edges over. We'll move over there in just a second. Here we go again. This one's a rougher grit, and it'll really take off the edges fast. If you look which way I have the holster. At that point, I'm just making sure I got it flat. And then that one turns like the other way, so I have to flip it. Otherwise, to keep sanding in the same direction. And we're just smoothing her out. That'll get us there. once again. Well, it's too dark to show up here. Got better lighting over yonder. I'll be back. I'm back. Okay. Bunch of stuff sitting around. And something else. So then she's all nice and flat, ready to have the edges beveled. Quick little polish to my tool here. If I think about it, I'll show you what I'm using over there when I get there. And put the water on her. I can't really get it where you can see it. That might be better. That's just awkward positioning that for the camera. Oh, all of this stuff is trial and error, that's for sure. Seems like most people that watch the videos may do some leather work on their own. It's exactly how I learned. And every time you do something, you gotta just try and be willing to learn something new and do it different or better each time. And not different each time, but don't be afraid to do something different. I'm gonna give her just a little more moisture. And bring the heat. I don't know if I can get where you can see that or not. Now I've still got to dye the edges, and I've done it a bunch of different ways. This one's going to wind up being walnut. Sometimes I have two tones, so I'll dye the darker tone around the edges, and I'll do that after I mold it, just so it'll be extra, you know, it never got wet. That edge wouldn't, the dyed edge would have never gotten wet. And I think I'll do that one the same way. So that would mean that if I want to, I can actually start forming this one. And I need to, well, why not? Let me set up a few things and we'll form it up. Of course, to you, if I did it today or a week from now, it would seem simultaneously. I think that's the right word. Well, got a couple different things I got to do. Ain't no running water in the shop, so I keep gallons of it over there. And this water's pretty cold, actually, in the shop today. 55 degrees, 50 degrees. So what I do, I thought I'd let you see the whole deal instead of starting and stopping. There's no rhyme or reason to how long you dunk it. Some people go way too long if you ask me, but I mean from videos I've seen. They'll say until the air bubbles stop. Just seems a little much to me. That right there should get me where I want to go. And we will turn you right around over in there. Now let it sit just for a second. you'll forgive me, I'm going to dunk it just one more time. That thing needs a little more moisture right there. And then she'll dry. Here in a minute or two, we'll start working her in. Yeah, probably change that just a little bit. So, this guy, I've got the blue gun for this, and this guy came out and picked up one holster, dropped off another one, and he wanted me to make it off of the actual gun, which is fine. There can be a little bit of difference. And she's empty. Let's see, get all the right tools out. Missing the main one. Don't really need it for a little bit. Anyway, I kind of go in and open that up a little bit because it can be kind of violent. Depends. And now, in theory, this thing ought to go right in there. So, I can't really make it face the camera. And you'd want this to be centered or more in. You don't want it out. The more in you get it, the more it's taking the butt of the gun and pushing it into you for concealment. Out, it's going to be like, it's going to make it harder to conceal the firearm. Centered or a little bit inside. A little bit of coercion. I just didn't want to bang on the gun. There's other ways to do it with the real gun, but with the blue gun, it's easy just to drive that thing in there. Okay. Should be no worries. I was kind of worried there for a little bit. So, take the real gun, and sometimes I put a bag on this, sometimes I don't. Kind of depends what I'm looking for. This one I won't. Because the inside of the waistband holsters, I think, need to be just a smidgen looser. Outside, well, let me say that differently. Maybe the outside of it needs to be a smidgen tighter. Alright. Wife just came and let the dog in. Get us there. And I forgot one thing. There's all kinds of ways to do these. Most people use dowel rods. These are these that I buy at Tandy for spreading cement. But it takes a little work to make them. But they last a lot longer than the dowel rods. Dowel rods just wind up splitting up. And I'm just going right in over that sight. Most people tape it in place and then force it. And it just don't work for me. I find this a little bit better. No, Fred. Dang, Fred actually listened. God, you can't see what I'm doing over there. I'm driving this down just a little past the trigger. And there it is. Yeah, the first part of it, do everything with your thumbs. I don't know if you can see. Right over here is one of the most important tools on the bench. Yeah, you can probably see. Fingernail clippers. Because if these are too long, you ding up the hole. With the wet leather, you wind up dinging it up. Over here, I think you can see better. That's probably one of the harder parts. And everything is to each his own. A lot of guys that I really respect and frankly try and mimic, except they really like to hyper mold the holster. I put a little divot right there, and that's to catch on the ejection port. I'll go into the trigger here in a minute, but I just think leather's got some kind of a, I don't know, I just ain't got to try and make mine look like a Kydex holster. That's what it seems like to me people are doing. If they want something that looks like a Kydex holster, they should go buy a Kydex holster. But we all know that even plastic guns deserve leather. Well, not the best film etiquette, but I've got to find a tool that I did not get up in here. And I have obviously don't have it. And it's the main thing I mold with, and for some reason it is not here. What I gained by not soaking it so far in the water as much as some people do is that I can do most of my molding right now. If I get it too wet, I've got to go this far and then let it dry for 20 minutes to an hour. Because the part I'm fixing to do, you can't do it when it's just like sopping wet. And I'll be darned, I don't know where that thing got off to. It's a modeling spoon is what I use. And I didn't want to pause, but I guess I'm going to have to pause and find it. Because I just don't do much without it. Oh, I got my bone fodder. I'm not sure where that thing got off to. Well, ain't this just fine for camera etiquette? Okay, I guess I'll have to pause, come back here in a minute.